From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. Radio Pilipinas World Service can also be heard on shortwave broadcast through the shortwave facilities of the United States Agency for Global Media or Voice of America on the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. I'm your host, Leo Magpayo, and this is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered the suspension of work in government offices and classes at all levels across Metro Manila and 21 provinces on Thursday, citing continuous heavy rains brought by Tropical Storm Maymay and the enhanced southwest monsoon or Habagat. The directive, issued under Memorandum Circular Number 122, signed by Executive Secretary Ralph Recto by authority of the President, covers the National Capital Region or NCR and the provinces of Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, Pangasinan, Abra, Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, Benguet, Nueva Vizcaya, Zambales, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Bulacan, Rizal, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Bataan, and Occidental Mindoro. The order was made upon the recommendation of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRRMC, which noted the sustained heavy rainfall and potential risks posed by the storm system. Government agencies tasked with delivering basic and health services, disaster response, and other vital operations were directed to continue functioning despite the suspension. Local chief executives were also authorized to declare localized suspensions in their respective jurisdictions, subject to existing laws and regulations. Meanwhile, the suspension of work in private offices and companies remains at the discretion of employers.
Dateline Malacañang.
Tropical Storm Maymay has now crossed into Banguid, Abra, bringing with it strong winds, heavy rains, and dangerous sea conditions. The storm, moving eastward at 10 kilometers per hour, is packing sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 110 kilometers per hour. In its 8th Thursday morning bulletin, the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, said communities across northern and central Luzon are bracing for impacts. Signal number 2 is hoisted over Ilocos Norte, much of Ilocos Sur, Abra, Western Apayao, Western and Central Kalinga, and parts of Mountain Province. Areas expected to feel gale force winds with light to moderate damage possible. Signal number 1 covers La Union, Pangasinan, Benguet, Cagayan, Isabela, Aurora, and several other provinces where strong winds may still cause minor disruptions. At sea, conditions are treacherous. Gale warnings are in effect along the western seaboard of northern Luzon, with waves reaching up to 4.5 meters in Ilocos and Batanes waters. Mariners are urged to stay in port as small vessels and motor bancas face extreme risk. Even moderate seas in other regions pose hazards for inexperienced crews. The storm is forecast to traverse Luzon's mountainous terrain, weakening into a tropical depression by morning and possibly a remnant low by evening. Yet Pagasa warns that heavy rainfall and severe winds may still be felt far beyond the landfall point, with the southwest monsoon amplifying gusts across much of the country. Residents are advised to secure homes, keep flashlights and food supplies ready, and avoid unnecessary travel. Farmers, fisherfolk, and coastal communities are urged to take precautions as flooding, crop damage, and rough seas loom. By Thursday evening, Maymay is expected to emerge over the coastal waters of Isabela or Cagayan before drifting southeastward and eventually merging with the larger circulation of tropical cyclone Dolphin.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, nearly 24,000 families, or 80,633 individuals, have been affected by the combined impact of the southwest monsoon or habagat and the recent storms Luis and Maymay, according to the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD. The affected regions include the Cordillera Administrative Region or CAR, Ilocos Region, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Bicol Region, and the Zamboanga Peninsula. As of today, close to 7,000 residents remain in evacuation centers seeking shelter from flooding and storm damage. The DSWD has already allocated an initial 1.1 million pesos in humanitarian assistance for those impacted. Relief efforts include the distribution of ready-to-eat food boxes to stranded passengers at ports and family food packs to displaced families in evacuation sites. Officials emphasize that the agency continues to monitor conditions and provide aid as weather systems persist.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the fifth meeting with the Private Sector Advisory Council, or PSAC, Education and Jobs Sector Group, focusing on bold initiatives to strengthen education, work development, and job creation across the country. The discussions highlighted the expansion of artificial intelligence and digital upskilling programs, the rollout of the semiconductor and electronics industry roadmap, and the launch of projects designed to open wider opportunities in employment, entrepreneurship, and skills training for Filipinos. Also emphasized was the need for closer collaboration among government, private sector, and academe to address the persistent jobs-skills mismatch and to craft policies and programs aligned with the demands of modern industries and the evolving economy. The administration's vision is clear: to prepare more Filipinos for the jobs of the future, boost national innovation and competitiveness, and generate more high-quality opportunities for every citizen.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. formally welcomed the non-resident ambassadors of Lesotho, the Dominican Republic, the Gambia, and Gabon, underscoring the Philippines' commitment to strengthening diplomatic and economic ties with the four nations. In separate ceremonies at Malacañang Palace on Tuesday, the envoys presented their letters of credence, officially marking the start of their diplomatic missions in the country. The new ambassadors are Retseli Sitso Theco of Lesotho, Reynaldo Rafael Espinal of the Dominican Republic, Masane Nyuku Kinte of the Gambia, and Landry Mabomba of Gabon. During his meeting with Ambassador Theco, President Marcos expressed hope of deeper cooperation in education, technical training, healthcare, skills development, trade, investment, tourism, and multilateral engagement. Theco in turn affirmed Lesotho's shared commitment to international cooperation, peaceful development, and improving the welfare of their people while highlighting opportunities in trade and tourism. President Marcos also conveyed interest in expanding ties with the Gambia, particularly in agriculture, education, trade, tourism, and investment. He welcomed Ambassador Kinte with optimism that both nations could explore these areas to strengthen bilateral relations. With Ambassador Espinal of the Dominican Republic, the President expressed confidence that his posting would further enhance cooperation and deliver tangible benefits for both countries. Ambassador Mobomba of Gabon likewise presented his credentials, with President Marcos reaffirming the Philippines' openness to building stronger partnerships with African nations.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine government is set to raise the fuel discount for public utility jeepney and utility vehicle or UV express drivers to 12 pesos per liter beginning August 15th, following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to provide additional relief to the transport sector amid the impact of tensions in the Middle East. The increase from the current 10 peso per liter subsidy is projected to give drivers up to 1,800 pesos in weekly fuel savings. That's according to Executive Secretary Ralph Recto. The enhanced assistance was approved during a cabinet meeting in Malacañang on Tuesday, presided over by Recto alongside key cabinet officials. The fuel discount program, first launched in April, has already benefited more than 93,000 public utility vehicle drivers nationwide. The meeting also tackled broader measures to cushion the economy from external shocks, stabilize prices, and sustain government support for sectors directly affected by global developments. Recto directed the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, to ensure the timely rollout of the Unified Package for Livelihoods Industry Food and Transport, or Uplift Assistance Program, for vulnerable groups, including farmers, fisherfolk, transport and construction workers, and other low-income earners. Earlier, President Marcos reaffirmed the administration's commitment to protecting sectors most exposed to global economic challenges.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday dismissed rumors claiming that Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa was arrested, branding them as a diversionary tactic aimed at shifting public attention away from the ongoing impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro urged the public to rely on verified reports from mainstream media rather than substantiated social media posts, particularly those circulated by Duterte's allies. She stressed that the timing of these rumors was intended to overshadow recent Commission on Audit or COA revelations on the Vice President's confidential fund spending. The Philippine National Police or PNP, Department of Justice or DOJ, and National Bureau of Investigation or NBI all denied reports that De La Rosa was in custody. DOJ Secretary Frederick Vida said his office had no information on the senator's supposed arrest, noting that the DOJ's role would only come into play after law enforcement confirms an apprehension. Interior Secretary John Vic Rimulya likewise rejected the claims, assuring transparency in government operations. He clarified that as of 6 in the evening on August 4th, there had been no arrest, adding that De La Rosa remains at large and is being monitored in Mindanao.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Air Force or PAF has denied reports claiming that Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa entered Villamor Air Base in Pasay City. PAF spokesperson Colonel Maria Cristina Basco clarified that after reviewing the base's access records, there was no entry log for De La Rosa, contradicting rumors circulating online. Basco emphasized that the Air Force continues to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law, while maintaining strict access control across its facilities. She also urged the public to rely only on official sources and avoid believing unverified social media posts. The denial comes after false reports spread on social media Wednesday evening, alleging that De La Rosa had been arrested and was being held at Villamor Air Base before transfer to the International Criminal Court or ICC in The Hague.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, the Philippines and Australia are strengthening defense ties as their top defense officials convene for the third Philippines-Australia Defense Ministers Meeting, or DMM, in Darwin, Australia this week. The Department of National Defense, or DND, announced Wednesday that Defense Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. will meet with Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Richard Marles MP to advance Indo-Pacific convergence and deepen bilateral cooperation. The meeting coincides with the 80th anniversary of Philippines-Australia diplomatic relations, underscoring the long-standing partnership between the two nations. According to the DND, the DMM highlights the strategic partnership through expanded bilateral and multilateral military exercises, enhanced maritime cooperation, infrastructure development, and stronger people-to-people ties. The talks will be held alongside Exercise Pitch Black 2026, hosted by the Royal Australian Air Force, where both defense chiefs will observe the Philippine Air Force, or PAF's, participation in the multilateral flying drills. This marks the second time the PAF has joined the exercise, deploying 4 FA-50PH fighter aircraft and more than 160 personnel from July 17 to August 7th.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Senate has unanimously adopted a resolution honoring tennis star Alex Ayala, who made history as the first Filipino to win a Women's Tennis Association or WTA Tour level singles championship. Lawmakers turned her triumph into both a celebration of national pride and a call for stronger sports development. The Chamber approved proposed Senate Resolution Number 554, consolidating 36 related measures to commend Ayala for capturing the 2026 Mubadala DC Open Women's Singles title. Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian hailed Ayala's breakthrough as proof that Filipino athletes can prevail against the world's best through sustained training, persistence, and commitment to excellence. Gatchalian traced her journey from learning tennis at the age of 4 to training at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Spain and eventually becoming the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam junior singles crown. Ayala's path to victory included stunning wins over top-ranked opponents, defending champion Leyla Fernandez, former world number 3 Elina Svitolina, four-time Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka, and world number 3 Jessica Pegula. Senator Joel Villanueva, principal author of the resolution, described the feat as the fulfillment of a long-held Filipino dream. Villanueva stressed that Ayala's success was built on discipline, sacrifice, and perseverance. Senate Senior Deputy Majority Leader J.V. Ejercito added that the victory offered Filipinos a rare moment of unity amid political divisions, calling Ayala's resilience a reflection of the Filipino spirit.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has declared full readiness to deploy mobile command centers and mobile kitchens following the magnitude 6.4 earthquake that struck Sarangani, Davao Occidental on Wednesday. Assistant Secretary Irene Dumlao said the agency is in close coordination with local governments with quick response teams or QRTs on standby to provide immediate assistance to affected communities. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, confirmed that the tremor was an aftershock of the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that hit Sarangani last June 8th. Dumlao added that family food packs and relief supplies are pre-positioned in regional warehouses for rapid distribution if needed. QRTs will also monitor evacuation centers and facilitate the rollout of Family Access Card in Emergencies and Disasters, or FACE forms, designed to quickly identify the needs of displaced residents. The DSWD assured the public that sufficient relief goods are available under the Buong Bansa Handa program, guaranteeing swift government response to any impact of the quake.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meantime, a magnitude 5.6 earthquake struck Davao Occidental early Thursday, according to the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS. The tremor, recorded at 5:41 in the morning, hit 16 kilometers west of Balut Island at a depth of 15 kilometers. PHIVOLCS confirmed it was an aftershock of the powerful magnitude 7.8 quake in Sarangani and the magnitude 6.5 quake of Davao Occidental last June. Authorities said no damage is expected from the latest quake. Meanwhile, FIVOX also reported a magnitude 5.3 tectonic quake at 12:50 in the morning, located 408 kilometers southeast of Balut Island at a depth of 183 kilometers. No damage or aftershocks are expected from this tremor, and no intensities were reported for either quake.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine government has paid solemn tribute to a fallen Filipino chief engineer who lost his life following the empty gas Lisbon incident in the Black Sea last July 21st. Led by Department of Migrant Workers or DMW Secretary Hans Leo Magpayo, the Philippine delegation visited Tulcea County Hospital in Romania to honor the engineer's dedicated service and sacrifice. The mission was carried out under the directive of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Joining Secretary Magpayo were Philippine Ambassador to Romania, Noel Servigon, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA Administrator Patricia Yvonne Kaunan, and other senior officials from the DMW and Migrant Workers Office. The tribute followed the successful rescue of all crew members by Romanian responders, with 3 Filipino seafarers brought to Tulcea County Hospital for treatment. 2 have since been repatriated safely, while the chief engineer later succumbed to his injuries. The delegation offered prayers and a moment of silence before the remains, recognizing the invaluable contributions of Filipino seafarers who keep global commerce moving under difficult conditions. Secretary Magpayo extended the government's deepest sympathies to the bereaved family, assuring full support during the repatriation process and beyond. The DMW, in coordination with the Philippine Embassy in Bucharest, OWA, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA, and Romanian authorities, continue to facilitate the repatriation of the chief engineer's remains while extending all available assistance and benefits to his family. The Philippine delegation also expressed gratitude to the doctors, nurses, and emergency responders of Tulcea County Hospital for their exceptional care, and to Romanian authorities for their cooperation throughout the emergency response. The solemn tribute reaffirms the government's commitment to stand with every overseas Filipino worker or OFW, not only in moments of success, but most especially in times of loss.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Coast Guard or PCG welcomed Maseh Zarif, Staff Director of the United States House Select Committee on China, at its national headquarters in Manila to discuss maritime cooperation and the West Philippine Sea. In a statement Wednesday, the PCG said the meeting reaffirmed the long-standing alliance between the Philippines and the United States, with talks centering on maritime security cooperation, search and rescue interoperability, capacity building, and the shared pursuit of a free and rules-based maritime domain. PCG Commandant Admiral Ronnie Gil Gavan underscored the continued advancement of bilateral ties, highlighting the operationalization of mechanisms such as the Mutual Defense Board and Security Engagement Board and the Aeronautical and Maritime Search and Rescue Agreement. He said these frameworks strengthen joint protocols, real-time information sharing, and maritime law enforcement cooperation. The two sides also discussed the PCG's participation in the Rim of the Pacific 2026 multilateral exercise, reflecting the Coast Guard's growing interoperability with allied maritime forces and its expanding role in promoting regional maritime stability. Other initiatives on the agenda included maritime domain awareness, fleet modernization, and workforce development to sustain operational readiness. Gavan emphasized that the PCG's greatest strength lies in its professionalism, adherence to international law, and commitment to the truth. The meeting aligned with President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s Bagong Pilipinas or New Philippines vision, reinforced the Coast Guard's intensified community assistance, awareness, response, and enforcement program, and strengthened the spirit of organized national engagement at sea through enhanced regional cooperation and collective security.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other developments, the House Committee on Energy has begun deliberations on proposals to abolish the systems loss charge in electricity bills, following President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s call during his fifth State of the Nation address. Committee Chair Palawan Representative Jose Alvarez said, energy sector representatives and consumer groups were invited to help craft an appropriate measure. During the hearing, Energy Secretary Sharon Garin revealed that the Department of Energy, or DOE, is conducting a comprehensive study on the proposal. She explained the need to distinguish between technical losses, the physical loss of electricity during transmission and distribution, and non-technical losses such as illegal connections, electricity theft, and other avoidable losses. Garin noted that while systems loss could be reduced or eliminated, this would require major investments in facility modernization, stricter enforcement of anti-electricity pilferage laws, and coordination among government agencies. She emphasized the importance of a cost-benefit analysis to ensure consumers are not burdened with higher rates or that electric cooperatives are not placed at risk. The DOE has formed a technical working group with the National Electrification Administration, Energy Regulatory Commission, electric cooperatives, and private distribution utilities to assess the costs and impacts of removing systems loss. The committee gave the DOE until next week to submit its findings. Representative Alvarez said the committee aims to finalize the proposed measure before the end of the month.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Cabinet Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos met with leaders of major business organizations this week, pledging stronger collaboration to advance the ease of doing business initiatives in the Philippines. The meeting supports the Marcos Jr. administration's push for a faster, more transparent, and business-friendly environment. Business groups raised concerns and presented proposals aimed at streamlining government processes, facilitating investments, and strengthening cooperation between the public and private sectors. Abalos assured participants that the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, or OCS, is open to their suggestions. He also highlighted the importance of practical and timely solutions that balance economic growth, environmental protection, and public welfare in government decision-making. Among those present were representatives from the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Philippine Exporters Confederation, Philippine Stock Exchange Council of Leaders, Employers Confederation of the Philippines, International Chamber of Commerce Philippines, Federation of Filipino-Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, Ease of Doing Business Philippines Foundation, Buklod Bayani Coalition, Women's Business Council Philippines, and the Philippine Association of Legitimate Service Contractors.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service can be heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.750 MHz, and 21.720 MHz. Radyo Pilipinas World Service is also live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and mabuhay.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.